their natural thought would be, let's go to Washington, because America is a champion of peace. I think if you go around the world now and ask the people the United States' relation to peace, they would say that we maybe are one of the most warlike countries.
Champion. Originally, a champion means a sports hero or a winner of a sporting contest. For example, Super Bowl champions or World Series champions. Now it has another meaning, which is a person who is an important person who's taking up a cause. For example, Bill Gates has become a champion of world health. So he has a very high status in the computer world. So as he's able to say things about the world of health, and he's very believable. Or similarly, Jimmy Carter was a champion of world peace. Bill Clinton became a champion of the fight against infectious diseases. A champion is an advocate. And similarly, you can have champions within companies. For example, with Apple, Steve Jobs was a champion of his particular projects where he was using his influence and not just his executive authority to try to get what he wants. Or in some product improvement systems, they'll have people they call champions where they don't use their authority directly, but they try to get people to start using better practices than they were using before. And oftentimes these people are called evangelists. Modern day companies use this idea quite a bit because they don't want to order people around directly. They would rather give people ideas and tell them which ideas they should try to follow.
There are people who are in the electronic learning or e-learning business. They call themselves e-learning evangelists.
Exactly. They're trying to encourage what they consider to be best practices and also to stir debate around these subjects so people are able to internalize improvements that they want to make instead of being ordered directly. And in the modern world, especially in the computer world, people don't like to get ordered around. They would rather just have people give them advice.
Nations that have stable democratic governments ought to be in the forefront of all these kinds of issues that relate to peace, human rights, environmental equality, the alleviation of suffering, freedom, democracy.
Alleviation is the reduction of something negative. For example, ibuprofen is able to alleviate pain, or unemployment insurance is able to alleviate some of the suffering of being unemployed. You could say a new jobs program should help to alleviate crime. Crime will still be here, but hopefully the new jobs program will help to reduce some of the causes of crime.
And I was able, with my wife, to negotiate a complete agreement between the United States and North Korea. And Kim Il-sung agreed to do away with that nuclear program and do a number of other things.
To do away with means to either stop doing something or to get rid of something. For example, a company could do away with doing their own manufacturing. So what that would mean is that they have subcontractors doing their manufacturing. The company is trying to do away with paper forms and do everything electronically. Or at some point, the government may do away with paper money, and all transactions will have to be done using credit cards. You could say the school did away with their football program, which means they're not going to play football anymore.
And the United States is now pretty deeply in bed with South Korea, so we don't move on any element that relates to North Korea without approval from Seoul.
Deep in bed with or in bed with. This is an old expression. It comes from politics. They say politics makes strange bedfellows. And that comes from the idea that a long time ago people would travel and they'd stay at rooming houses and they might have to sleep in bed with strangers. So when you say politics makes strange bedfellows, it means that people that have different interests will be put together because of some common interest. So if you say that the U.S. is deep in bed with South Korea, what that means is that we have common interests and we're committed to those common interests, and so we need to work together. Similarly, you could say that we're deep in bed with Japan. Or at this point, you could even say we're deep in bed with China, because China does so much manufacturing that is important to the United States.
And I always let them know what my purpose is in going. When I return, I'm very meticulous. I write my trip report on the way home. The next day, I send a full copy of my activities to the White House.
Meticulous means to be very careful about doing things, especially things where there's a possibility of making a mistake. So a person can be very meticulous about their appearance, which means that they make sure their clothes are always clean and that everything matches and that they look the way they want to look. Or someone can be very meticulous about their work, which means that they try to make sure that they don't make any mistakes. Very detailed. They could keep their apartment meticulous, meaning that there's no dirt, no things lying around. Everything looks perfect all the time. You can also have a meticulous negotiation where the two parties want to be very careful that they make a good deal that's favorable for themselves, especially if they're dealing with a counterparty that they don't trust, or that there may be negatives that are created by the potential agreement. You could say the negotiations between Hamas and Israel were very meticulous because neither party wanted to get taken advantage of. Or you could also say that trade negotiations are always very meticulous because for the same reason, the parties want a good deal for themselves and they don't want to lose to the other side. Or another example, this is a good example, meticulous preparations for a wedding or for a party. They want everything to go perfect, and so they don't want any mistakes to happen. They don't want to run out of ice. They don't want people to be late or get lost. So they're very careful about everything that they do.
That's all for today. Tom Taylor is an ESL tutor. He teaches English in the United States and outside, all over the world using Skype. He can be reached at his website, which is
ESL-fullsteamahead.com.
Click on this link and check out his website and email with questions. Thank you, Tom, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.